All right, let's talk about something we almost never talk about. We spend so much time and energy figuring out what mutual funds to buy, right? But what about selling? That's arguably the most important part, and it's where so many people go wrong. So today, we're going to build the exit plan you need, a solid one, so you never have to second-guess that sell button ever again.
Okay, picture this, and be honest. The market drops, just a little bit. Your friend, you know the one, is bragging about some fund that's just soaring. And that big goal you've been saving for, it's just a year away. What do? That figure starts hovering over the sell button, doesn't it? We have all been there. But here's the real question. Is that a decision, or is it just an impulse? That's what we're going to untangle today.
Okay, so before we dive into the right reasons to sell, we've got to talk about the wrong ones. The traps. These are the emotional triggers, the bad habits that cause most investors to, frankly, lose money. Learning to spot these is honestly half the battle. Just look at this list. Panic selling when the market's falling, trying to time the market, thinking it's too expensive, getting impatient because your fund hasn't done great for a year or two. And my personal favorite, FOMO, the fear of missing out, because your friend's fund is doing better. These aren't strategies, are they? They're just feelings. Selling in a panic is a surefire way to lock in your losses. And chasing some hot tip, that's a classic mistake. These are the things that derail even the smartest investors.
And that's the really sad part, isn't it? I mean, you spend all this time picking the right fund, you do your SIPs with discipline, you're doing everything right, and then one little thing happens, and boom, you sell. All that hard work just goes down the drain because of one emotional reaction. Look, the goal isn't to become a robot and stop feeling these things. That's impossible. The goal is to have a plan that's so good it works even when you're feeling them.
Okay, so let's flip this around. What are the real green flags for selling? Well, here's the first big secret, and it's a game changer. The best reasons to sell have almost nothing to do with the market and everything to do with you and your life. Yeah, think about it like this. Every investment you have has a specific job to do. So if you've reached your goal, awesome, the investment did its job. You can sell. If your goal is getting really close, say just a year or two away, it's time to sell and move that money somewhere safer to protect it. Or maybe a big life event happens. You get married, you retire, your needs change. Or maybe you just realize, wow, I'm taking on way more risk than I'm comfortable with. See, your life changes, your goals change, and your investments have to change along with them. It really is that simple.
All right, but what if your life is totally stable? Nothing's changed, but you just have this nagging feeling that your fund is the problem. This is the second valid reason to sell. And this is where we need to put on our detective hats and really dig into the evidence.
So, before you can judge your fund, you need to know what you're comparing it to. And that's where this word benchmark comes in. A benchmark is basically the yardstick, right? It's the standard. For a large cap fund, for example, that might be the Nifty 100. Think of it as the exam the fund has to pass, or better yet, the score it has to beat. So, how do we actually grade the performance? Well, and this is super important, it's not just about the raw number. A fund giving you 12% when its benchmark only gave 10%, that's a winner. But what about a fund that gave you 20%? Sounds great, right? Well, not if its benchmark gave 25%. In that case, it's actually underperforming. It's just like a student's rank in class. It's not just your score, it's how you did compared to everyone else. So you've got to look at the benchmark, the category average, and you have to look at it over long periods, not just one quarter.
So what's the magic number? How long do you wait? Well, a pretty solid rule of thumb is this: 4 years. Yep, 4. If your fund has underperformed its benchmark for 4 consecutive years, that's not just a bad patch. That's a pattern. It's a clear signal that something is fundamentally not working, and it's probably time to start looking for the exit.
Okay, here's another huge red flag. It's called style drift. This is when a fund says it's going to do one thing, but then it does something completely different. It's like you signed up for a value fund that buys undervalued stocks, but now you see it's buying all these high-growth momentum stocks. That's not what you paid for. The analogy is perfect. You were promised a property on Marine Drive, but you got one in BKC. The fund broke its promise, and that's a serious breach of trust. That alone is a valid reason to get out.
And here are a couple of other really big ones to look out for. First, did the star fund manager leave? You know, the person whose brain you were really betting on? If they're gone, that's a huge deal. And second, just do a sanity check. Does the fund strategy still align with your goal? If you're holding a super risky small cap fund for a goal that's only a year away, that's a mismatch. That is a ticking time bomb, and it's time to realign.
Okay, so let's say you've gone through the checklist and you've made the call. It's time to sell. But hold on,
How you sell is just as critical as why you sell. So let's talk about the smart way to exit, the pro-level strategy that takes all the stress of market timing right out of the equation.
We all know about SIPs, right? The Systematic Investment Plan. It's how you average your cost on the way in to the market. We'll meet its equally brilliant twin, the SWP, or Systematic Withdrawal Plan. It does the exact same thing, but in reverse. It lets you average your price on the way out. It is the perfect antidote to that last-minute panic we all want to avoid.
So let me walk you through how this works in the real world. Let's say your big goal is about a year away. Instead of just trying to pick the perfect day to sell everything, you start an SWP. Every single month, you withdraw a small portion of your money. You just keep doing that. What's happening? You're averaging your exit price. So a sudden nasty market crash right when you need the cash won't completely destroy your plans. It's the ultimate way to take luck, both good and bad, completely out of the picture.
Whew. Okay, I know that was a lot to take in. So let's boil this all down. Let's create one final, simple checklist you can pull out anytime you're tempted to hit that sell button.
This is it. This is your green flag checklist. And I want you to notice something really important here. Not a single one of these reasons has anything to do with what the market did today or what your friend is doing. Nope. Every single one is tied to one of three things: your personal goals, your plan, or the fund's actual measurable performance. That's it.
And that really brings us to the one question you need to ask yourself next time you're thinking about selling. Is your sell button guided by a plan, or is it guided by panic? Because the difference between those two things, well, that's everything. Thanks for joining me.